Welcome to this explainer. You know, when we look back at the ancient world, it's so easy to picture the Silk Road as just this incredibly long, dusty camel trail primarily used to move fabric and spices. But when we actually dig into the historical data, it reveals something much, much closer to the early internet. Today, we're exploring the ancient world's most incredible networking system. We are literally talking about the information superhighway of antiquity.
Let's just bust the biggest myth right out of the gate, okay? The historical reality wasn't some single paved road connecting China straight to Europe. It was a massive, shifting, living network of both land and maritime routes. And it didn't just pop up overnight either. This web emerged way back during China's Han Dynasty, around the 2nd century BCE, and it operated for more than 1,500 years. It was a totally dynamic web spanning from East Asia, cutting through Central Asia and the Middle East, and reaching all the way to Africa and Europe. It was constantly changing, constantly adapting based on the political climate, geography, and basically wherever the economic opportunities happened to be flourishing at the time.
Now, the phrase Silk Road itself sounds incredibly ancient, right? Like it was carved into a stone tablet thousands of years ago. Actually, scratch that. Surprisingly, it's a relatively modern invention. The term was coined in the 19th century by a German geographer named Ferdinand von Richthofen. And because his admittedly very catchy name oversimplifies a massively complex system, modern historians actually prefer the term Silk Routes. Using the plural form is absolutely crucial because it reflects the true diversity of the network. It acknowledges that India, Persia, Central Asian kingdoms, and Arab merchants played roles that were every bit as vital as China's in keeping this global artery pumping.
Okay, we obviously can't ignore the goods themselves. Silk was highly prized in Europe and the Middle East for its rarity. We also had spices from India and Southeast Asia, which were literally life-saving for preserving meat and creating medicines, along with precious stones, gold, glassware, and some highly valued horses from Central Asia. But here is the major pivot. Physical goods were really just the hardware. The silk, the spices, the porcelain, they were merely the physical containers that facilitated the software. And that software was the real, intangible payload that would fundamentally alter the course of human history forever.
Which brings us to a concept that completely reframes how we should view this entire era. The Silk Road was not simply a commercial highway, it was a cultural superhighway. I mean, just think about that for a second. Long before we had fiber optic cables, airplanes, or Wi-Fi, these overlapping routes served as the very first global network for transmitting the world's most revolutionary ideas. People interacting meant ideas interacting. When a merchant caravan arrived in a new city, they didn't just unpack their saddlebags, they unpacked their beliefs, their scientific observations, and their latest technological breakthroughs.
Let's look at how this builds into something profound, especially with the spread of faith. This is where human beings basically acted as ancient data packets. Think of ancient rest stops, the caravanserai, as early chat rooms. Traders from vastly different empires didn't just swap coins, they sat around the fire sharing their philosophies, their customs, and their views on the divine. This was the exact physical infrastructure that allowed religions to practically go viral. Buddhism, for example, didn't just magically appear in China. It spread from India into East Asia, carried step by merchants and monks. Later on, Christianity and Islam utilized these exact same established networks to expand thousands of miles across Eurasia, completely transforming distant societies along the way.
This brilliantly leads us right into the other side of that intangible payload, technology. We aren't just talking about a slightly better way to weave cloth here. We are talking about paradigm-shifting scientific breakthroughs hitching a ride with spice and silk caravans. Papermaking and printing techniques moved out of China and completely revolutionized how the Islamic world and Europe recorded knowledge. Advances in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and navigation were fiercely exchanged. An astronomical observation made in one empire could instantly upgrade the navigation tools of scholars thousands of miles away. It was open-source information sharing antiquity style.
So, the crucial takeaway here is understanding the true cause and effect of all this, which really breaks down into 3 clear steps. Step 1, physical trade interactions. Civilizations that rarely met face-to-face were suddenly connected through commerce. Step 2, the exchange of philosophies and customs. Those commercial interactions naturally sparked the sharing of ideas, religions, and technologies. And finally, step 3, large-scale globalization. This wasn't just local bartering. This was the world's very first large-scale globalization system. A product, an idea, or a mathematical concept originating in one corner of the globe could seamlessly integrate into the daily life of a completely different civilization on another continent. It's just wild to think about. Now, let's fast forward from antiquity. because this incredible concept of an interconnected global web It isn't just ancient history. It is a playbook still being used today. In 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping introduced a massive project officially known as the Belt and Road Initiative, but it is very frequently and intentionally referred to as the New Silk Road. The echo of the past is right there in the name, signaling a massive desire to recreate that world-spanning connectivity for the 21st century.
Just like the ancient routes, this modern network is incredibly vast, and it's divided into two major components. First, there's the Silk Road Economic Belt. This focuses heavily on land-based transportation corridors. We are talking enormous investments in railways, highways, pipelines, energy projects, and absolutely crucial digital infrastructure. Second is the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, which, true to its name, emphasizes sea routes and major port developments. The physical scope is just staggering. The goal is to physically and digitally wire countries together to improve connectivity and dramatically reduce transportation costs.
Of course, an initiative of this magnitude brings very different perspectives, and we want to look at exactly what the source material lays out impartially here. On one side, supporters argue that the Belt and Road Initiative is absolutely vital for addressing severe infrastructure shortages in developing countries. They highlight its potential to encourage economic growth, create brand new opportunities for trade, and strengthen economic ties globally. However, critics raise significant concerns. They point to issues of debt sustainability, worrying that participating countries might struggle to repay these large infrastructure loans. Critics also raise questions about environmental impacts, transparency, and the potential for expanding geopolitical influence through ownership stakes in these strategic global assets. While the modern initiative clearly draws its branding and inspiration from history, looking at them side by side reveals a fascinating, fundamental difference in how they came to be. The ancient silk routes evolved organically. It was a natural, grassroots expansion over centuries, driven primarily by individual merchants, travelers, and local empires who were simply seeking trade and cultural exchange. The New Silk Road, in stark contrast, is a highly deliberate, top-down, government-led strategy explicitly designed to strengthen economic connections in a relatively short time frame. Yet despite those wildly different origins, the ultimate goal remains strikingly similar: connecting distant people and economies across vast geographical expanses.
Which brings us to our final thought. We've seen how the ancient silk routes were so much more than just trade pathways. They were the literal conduits for the spread of world-altering technologies, mathematics, and global faiths like Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. Today, we are wiring the globe with high-speed railways, shipping lanes, and fiber-optic digital infrastructure at an absolutely unprecedented pace. But it begs a really fascinating question. Will our modern digital and physical networks leave the same profound cultural and philosophical legacy as those ancient routes? Will the ideas we transmit today shape the world 1,500 years from now the way the Silk Route shaped ours? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep questioning the world around you, and I'll see you in the next explainer.